Sandy Parker, and welcome to Crafting for Almost Everyone. Today we're going to use a technique I saw my friend Carol Held use. It's called an inlaid embedded emboss. At least I think that's what it was called, and I hope you'll stay tuned. The very first thing we're going to do in this project is I've got this Cuttlebug folder. It's an embossing folder called Rectangle Paisley, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it, and on the side that's the back, not the front, you're going to take a pencil and you're going to rub over this image. Now you could run this through your embossing, your die cutting machine, but I'm preferring to do it this way, and I'll show you why in a minute. Okay, the point of me doing this is I'm going to make a piece that's going to allow us to only emboss this outside frame and not this inner part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jab my scissor. This is just paper. This is just copy paper. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut to that edge. And then we're going to cut up to the corner. And then I'm staying on that line if I can. What this allows us to do, you can buy these things, they're called diffusers, and what they do is they make it so that you don't emboss the whole image. And I don't want to emboss my entire image. I only want to emboss part of it. And so this is going to allow me to do just that. This is the piece that we need, the remaining piece. We don't want the center piece, we want this remaining piece. So it's going to be a little labor intensive for us to do, but in the end it's going to be fine. I have to just cut out the edge. So I'm going to put it back in the embossing folder like this. What we want to make sure of, our goal is to make sure that the piece in the center is the right size. You follow that? This is the important part, making sure that this is the right size. Then what you do is you're going to get some cardboard. I'm not going to make you watch this whole thing, but you're going to get a piece of cardboard. You're going to lay this on here. I'm going to make mine a little bit wider because I think my right edge is a little bit off. You want to make sure that this thing is the right size for in your embossing folder. They sell these diffusers, but this is not a size that I think anybody would have. So I figured I would just show you how to do it. So we're going to lay that on the side. I'm going to, you're going to want 2 of these on this thickness of cardboard. So let me cut these out and I'll be back. So what I did was I put a 5x7 piece of paper into my embossing folder. Then I lined up my double diffuser, we'll call it, on top. I taped it there just so it wouldn't move with some washi tape, and now I'm going to take it off. I ran it through the machine. Forgot to tell you that part. I ran it through the machine, and hopefully it worked. You're going to know in a second. You and I will be the first to know. So we take it out, and voila. I know you're shocked, because frankly I am too. It worked like a champ. This whole section is not embossed. Can you see that? And the rest of it is. Ta-da! I'm not going to clap really hard for myself, but frankly I'm ready to, because that I didn't think would work. Okay, so let's trim this up because I didn't get kind of the bottom edges of it, and that's no big deal because we can just trim that off, and it'll make it a little bit smaller, so we can we can layer this on other cardstock. That's what we'll do. Yep, that's what we're going to do. Oh, I'm going to go up there and go that way and see if that looks good on that end. And then we're going to do the same on this edge. And that's probably about, between the two, that's probably about 1/4 of an inch. So we have our center section, and in that section I'm going to do some, I'm going to put some pieces in of flowers that I'm going to print from Altenews Beautiful Day stamp set. And I don't know about all of you, but layering dies can be problematic for me. And so what I like to do is I like to get a template, and this is on the Altenews web page, where you can just go there and you'll find the different stamps and what they make. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay these on here. The first thing I want to do is show you how I laid these out. If you've never played with layered stamps before, this is invaluable to you because it shows you exactly how to lay your stamps down, and you lay them stamp face down. So like when you're going to put it on your acrylic block, you're not going to have to do anything but, well, I moved some of mine, but you will put the acrylic block on and then you'll stamp it after you ink it. So this will make your life so much easier. The other thing I find that makes my life easier is practicing with colors. And I really liked this combination of oranges and this combination of reds, although that's not really stamped well. But I like to stamp a few things, and I used a brown ink for my base. I think it's a little less, I don't know, aggressive than black. I'm also going to try gray before I go on to my next step. But I wanted to show you this, and I'm going to put it out of the way, or mostly out of the way, so you won't see it, because otherwise I have no room to stamp. And this makes it so that I can just pick them up on my acrylic block. And I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to put that right there, and hopefully you'll be able to see it. I zoomed in just a little bit. I know now that you can see the top part of what I'm going to be stamping, so let's practice first. And I do this in the reverse of how they show you. I'm going to pull this back toward me so you can see the first one, so you know what I'm talking about. I like to stamp this one, which is the border. I like to stamp it first, and I haven't used these stamps yet, so I cleaned them all with my stamp cleaner. I'm just going to put it right where the other one is, so you kind of have an idea of what it's going to look like. That's the outside. So we can decide from this if we like it or not. And then I just have my little stamp chamois right there, the absorber. And then you just put that back where you got it from. Don't move it. And then I'm going to go from there to my bigger one. And the bigger one lines up like that on the stamp. I'm just going to try this color again. Sometimes you have to put your head over it, and I'm going to do that this time. I apologize for that, but there's no option that's better than that one. See how it just didn't ink as much as I wanted it to? Well, that's as good as I'm going to do on that. I'm going to wipe that one off, and then we're going to take the second piece, which lines up right there, oddly enough. And I'm going to use a Gina K ink. The ink color that I use first is it's the basic gray ink from Stampin' Up. I don't know what it's just called. Basic Gray. Yeah, that's what it was called. And then the first one I used was Baroque Burgundy. So any burgundy inks you have will work. And then this is Gina K's, I'm going to drop it probably, Cherry Red. I'm not sure if this combination is perfect, but we're going to give it a roll. That's pretty cool. Then, after you've done those, go to the leaves. And the way the leaves work, oh, I got to get that out of the way because you know I'm going to end up with that on my arm. This is Old Olive. I'm going to use that for my background ink. And then I like always Artichoke which is this one. I think they're discontinuing that one, for my highlights of my leaves. So we'll put that on. Obviously the leaves aren't as hard to figure out as everything else, but whoo, that was bad, wasn't it? We're going to have to do that all over again, but let me just finish that one so you can see it. I didn't get enough ink on that one. One more time. Okay. And what I'm going to do now, I'm not going to make you watch me stamp all these, but what I'm going to do next is I'm going to stamp a bunch of these flowers and their leaves. Might not be enough of a difference between those two. I don't know if you can see that or not. But I'm going to stamp a bunch of the flowers with their leaves, and then I'm going to cut them out, and then I'm going to come back. I've kind of showed you the whole process so you know what I'm doing, so I didn't think you'd really want to watch me do a bunch of this. So I'll be back. I decided I wanted to put something kind of flashy in my center that where I don't have anything. So I'm going to take some texture paste by Ranger. Then I'm going to take some glitter that's clear. It's kind of white, but it's clear. Dump it in there. Just so we want to have a little bit of iridescence in our texture paste. I don't have enough, I don't think. I like to make sure that it actually does look glittery, you know, and not just like white paste. I think I'm just going to put it kind of at an angle, kind of like going down this side of the card, if that makes any sense. If I got any on my outside area that I just, this area that I just that I raised, I'm just going to wipe it off with my finger, and hopefully we'll be able to get enough of it off that you won't notice it. You might notice the glitter, but I'm going to put something glittery on this side anyway. So that's where we stand right now. All we need to do is let this dry. So I added some art glitter glue and some stickles to these. The difference is one's a generic that I got at Michael's and the other one is not. And I let them dry. A little on there. And then I thought I would try this black and see what it does. I'm going to put that back there so I can see it. I couldn't decide if I wanted to try this or this Irresistible, which is a Pico embellisher. It just makes, it doesn't have any glitter. And I thought I would just kind of do that. And this way we'll be able to come up with a more vibrant center. So now I'm just going to let these dry, and once they're dry, then we'll go to putting our card together. I used an LDRS die to cut Celebrate out, and then I put it up on some foam tape, and then I put the ribbon and I attached the whole thing to the card. I didn't think that was anything that was too tricky to explain, so I'm going to go on to my flowers, and hopefully these black centers have been wet all day. It's been driving me crazy because I can't get them to dry, and I'm going to use a piece of, I'm using a pad of paper. You can use fun foam for this. You can use basically any kind of tool, but what I want to do is I'm going to use this and I'm going to rub into the center of this, and hopefully we'll be able to get this to be more three-dimensional. Same with our leaves. The goal here is to see if we can get our flower to pop up a little bit, I might have to get some foam to make this work. I'll have Rich fast forward through this so you don't have to watch this forever. First things first, I think I'm going to use foam squares to kind of put them so that they're higher and attach them. I think they will work better to glue them down than anything else, because I'm kind of late now, so I want to get this going as quickly as possible. Let's see, I think I'm going to go with that many. So the ones that are raised, I'm going to put fun foam on, like that, just to make sure we have some dimension on some of these, just to make sure everybody's going to stay. I'm also going to add a little wet glue, just to be on the safe side. And just like in all stamped images, you're going to want to turn these so that they're not all facing in the same direction. If I put a flower beside the same flower, I don't want it to look like the exact same flower, if you get my drift. I'll put a few of these orange sequins down. So there's our card. It says celebrate Mr. and Mrs. right side up. I hope that you enjoyed this, that you learned a little bit about how to do that inlay technique. So I hope you'll give this card a thumbs up and subscribe. Please tell your friends about me on social media, because you know I love that. And thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.